Welcome to Moments in Time with Lucien Byfield. Today we shall look back on the history of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. For what potentially should be a fantastic Grand Prix, with the race being held in the twilight transitioning into the darkness of night, and on a track that on paper looks stunning and could provide great racing with passing zones, a massive straight and some tight twisty stuff, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix has not been that popular, and if brief browsing on social media is anything to go by, not only do Formula One fans not like the track very much, they universally do not think it is a race that should close out a season, which it often has done. I love this track, it has a bit of everything, but there is no doubt that overall it has just not delivered great racing. Sure, in hindsight there have been some amazing moments, shocking ones too, but for whatever reason, this modern Herman Tilke designed Yas Marina circuit seems bland, colourless and without personality, despite the colours of the lights at night. While strongly dominated by two drivers, Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel, this race has also been won by Nico Rosberg, Kimi Raikkonen and Valtteri Bottas. So, let's relive some classic moments. 2010, possibly one of the most depressing races in history, unless you support Sebastian Vettel. In a year that saw Webber, Hamilton, Alonso and even Button fight for the title, it came down to the wire and it was Sebastian Vettel who won the race in a terribly boring way, dominating from the front, while Webber and Alonso, the title favourites coming into the weekend, squandered their chances being held up in the lower positions, unable to pass on a track that should in theory provide the opportunity. Now, three things stand out in this race. 1. Michael Schumacher in his comeback year crashed on lap 1, spun backwards and was almost beheaded by Vitantonio Liuzzi in the Force India. 2. Fernando Alonso, who should have walked the title, was seen gesticulating to Mr. 15 Minutes of Fame Vitaly Petrov, who in the bright yellow Renault had held up Fernando for half of the race, depriving him of the points he needed to win the title. 3. Sebastian Vettel had never led the title at any stage of the year, and despite flashes of brilliance, he had certainly thrown the chances away on many occasions. Yet, here he was, in a late season flourish, dominating and taking the championship as he crossed the line to receive the checkered flag. It just felt wrong. Of course, many an Aussie like me were gutted for Mark Webber, and I was gutted for my favourite Alonso. So, in theory, at least I had a 2 out of 3 shot of getting a title result I wanted. 2014. It must be said that the battle between Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton in the all-conquering Mercedes of the new hybrid era was a lot closer than it appeared in the final points standings. Lewis had pretty much dominated Nico in the early season, but Nico was able to turn the tide and by mid-season was out-qualifying Lewis and out-racing him, taking the title lead and looking unbeatable at times. Now, both drivers had reliability issues and bad luck in that year, although you would never know that because Nico had the ability to just let the bad luck go, whereas Lewis, love him or hate him, played up every little thing that went wrong. To cut a long story short, Lewis had the edge on points going into the final race, and double points were on offer. Nico got pole and he out-qualified Lewis over the season, which surprised many, but it was Nico who was to suffer car reliability, which cost him any chance of the title. Now imagine if that had happened to Lewis, we would never hear the end of it. Remember, Nico lost the win in Britain and a possible win in Singapore due to reliability too. So, Nico Rosberg was very unlucky in 2014, along with making some mistakes at key moments as well. Yes, they both had reliability issues through the year, but Lewis was able to storm to an easy win and take his second title. His fuzzy gonk-style hair on the podium was hilarious, meme-worthy. 2016. With the title hanging in the balance, Lewis Hamilton, needing to win with Nico Rosberg in third or lower to take the title, held up the field in a display of dominance so great that he could actually drive slowly and still win the race easily. To be fair, Nico Rosberg wisely was not racing for the win. He knew second place was enough to get the title and finished it off in undramatic style, so it seemed. But his pass on the very dangerous and intense Verstappen was the stuff of legend. Lewis was heavily criticised for disobeying team orders, not for the first or last time. He had a crack at the trophy and did what most champions would have done. Alonso, Senna, Schumacher, they would have used the same tactics. So Nico Rosberg took the title and gave Formula One one of the greatest photo opportunities in history as he leapt from his car in triumph. And, depending on the camera angle, he looked like he was meters high in the air. Overall, his title win was popular, and if we think about it now, had he not won that day, Lewis Hamilton would be a 7-time world champion, having won 6 titles on the trot. Rosberg shocked the world a few days later, announcing his retirement. In closing, let's look back on the 2012 race, where Fernando Alonso had kept himself in the title hunt with Sebastian Vettel, despite clearly driving a very second-rate Ferrari for most of the year, while the Red Bull of Sebastian Vettel was the class of the field. Due to a qualifying breach where a fuel sample was analysed, Vettel was sent to the back of the grid, so Red Bull decided to make changes to his car, meaning he would start from the pit lane. This would result in a truly fantastic drive on a circuit that was not known for great racing or passing. There was a time when Sebastian had great luck even on his bad days, and he drove a blinder despite hitting a DRS sign under safety car and ranting in blame as he usually does. He would finish third, but Nando was second, keeping the title fight alive, if only just, as this was not the final race of the season this time. Notably, there was a crash between Nico Rosberg and Indian Narayan Karthikeyan, with Nico briefly airborne. Both drivers were more than likely to come away unscathed, Nico particularly so. This race was famous not only for Kimi Raikkonen winning for the first time in the Lotus Renault since his 2-year sabbatical, but for his comments made over the radio during the race, one of them being, "Just leave me alone, I know what to do." Anyway. Well, that's it for Moments in Time. Hope you have enjoyed this year, looking back with me on all of the fantastic historical moments that have made Formula One so special. Catch you later.